All right. Hey, everybody. Playing some fresh beats for you on this sunny Thursday morning here in Vancouver, British Columbia. I'm Shaun, and I'm coming at you live from the studio at the Canadian College of English Language. All right. So happy Thursday morning. A new time, a new day. For us, we're just playing around, seeing how things work. So we're gonna try me in the morning slot here on Thursday morning, or well, I don't know what time it is where you are, but it's morning here. All right. So yeah, I'm seeing lots of people in the chat. Lots of people saying hi. Alish, Pasco is there. Rosa's there. I know Rosa's there. That track was for you, Rosa. Gudrea is here. Hi, Mohammed. Lots of people, lots of familiar names and faces. Jinayat, Tan, hi. And some new people I see in there too. So if it's your first time, if we've never met, as I said, I'm Shaun. I'll be your teacher for the next hour or so. Hi, Tara. And we've got, as usual, we've got Zach in the chat as the moderator. Oh yeah, some people have been waiting for me. Steve Lynn is back. Hey, how are you? Zainab. Good to see you too. Yaprak. All right, so Zach is in the chat as a moderator. I think Lane is out there somewhere too as the moderator. They will help you. If you have questions throughout the class, put them in the chat. I'm going to be asking you some questions, and I'm going to be asking you to put your answers in the chat as well. But yeah, if you have questions or comments, or you just want to say hi, put it in the chat, and we'll answer your questions as best we can, as often as we can. All right, and if we miss your question, toss it in there. Anyway, Chris Kelly is in the house. Wow, all the way from Halifax, Nova Scotia. All right. Good to see you, Mr. Shaun. That's right. Okay, so let's get started on this new day, this new time. Okay, so. Yeah, let's jump right into it. There we go. All right. So today, I'm gonna put you guys to work right off the bat. Okay, I'm gonna ask you guys some questions. I'm gonna see kind of how your general knowledge is. It's time for some general trivia questions here. I'm gonna ask, and then, of course, I'll explain why. All right. I'm going to ask you some questions, and I'm going to see what you know, all right? I'm going to see how fast, how quickly you can answer these questions. So, in fact, here, let me put this up here. General knowledge quiz. I want you to answer as many of these questions as you can, as quickly as you can, and I want you to put your answers in the chat. Angel Romero from Venezuela. Hey, how are you? Good. So, yeah, let me put the questions up here for you guys to answer. Actually, I'm going to pop out of the presentation right away. I'm going to just put these up here. Let me make this full screen so you guys can see it. I've got 7 general knowledge questions for you guys. Don't worry if you don't know the answer. If you do know the answers, try to put them in the chat as quickly as you can. Okay, so for example, the first question is, what is the world's longest mountain range? All right, this is quick little fire round here. Okay, so I'm going to put the happy monkey music on. I'm going to pop out of the screen already. I know it's fast. We're only 4 minutes in, and I'm already asking you questions. Okay, so I'm going to pop off the screen for maybe 2 minutes, and I want to see how many of these questions you can answer. Okay, so get to it. Put your answers in the chat, and I'll be back. Okay, go for it, guys. All right, this is good stuff, guys. Lots of good answers coming in on the chat. Yeah, let's fire through these questions really quickly, and then I'll tell you why. Or as I said, there's always a reason for my questions. So we said, what's the world's longest mountain range? I think Diego got it, and he said, what did he say? He said, the Andes. The Andes of South America are the world's longest range of mountains. Good. Yeah, I see some people are Googling it. That's fine. That's why we have Google. Yeah? Break out Wikipedia and find these answers. That's fine. So what's the world's highest mountain? I think a bunch of people got that one too. Zainab got it. Mohammed, you're right. You guys said Mount Everest. Right? Mount Everest is the world's highest mountain. Good stuff. Deepest lake, I see, yeah, Steve said he just had to Google it. Yeah, I threw that one in there. I'm not sure if anybody actually knew it, or you had to go into Wikipedia maybe, but that is, the deepest lake is Lake Baikal, right? Baikal in Russia. Russia's got the deepest lake in the world. Okay, good. The next one is, what are the 4 largest countries in the world? Now, I might have to pop down here and say yes. So we've got Canada, you guys got it, Russia, not in order, I guess Russia's first, Canada's next, the US, and China, right? China, or the People's Republic of China, if you prefer, yeah? You can go by either name. Okay, 3 more questions, and then I'll tell you why, okay? I'll tell you why we're doing this. Let me break down here a little bit. Okay, so what is the largest internal organ of the human body, right? The largest internal organ. Now the skin is the largest organ technically, but the largest internal organ, and again, I think Diego got that one. I don't know if anybody else got it. Who else had it? Anybody? Maybe Pascoa got it. Somebody else had it. I can't see in there, but it's the liver. The liver is the largest organ, perhaps the most delicious as well. I'm not sure. Okay, 2 more. What area of New York City is considered one of the financial centers of the world? And again, a bunch of people got this one, and you said Wall Street. Okay, Wall Street. Good. And then the last one, a bunch of people cranked that one out there too. What did Alexander Graham Bell invent? What did he invent? Pascoa, you got that one. Who else? Rosa. Yeah, right. So he invented the telephone. Right. So good stuff. You guys know your stuff. Your kind of useless little trivial information. You did well. Now the question is, why am I asking you these questions, right? Why am I asking you about the largest countries or the biggest organ? I'm not asking because I'm curious about how much you really know, actually. I was looking for the answers themselves, because today's class, if you didn't already know, based on what we had posted, is we're looking at today articles, okay? We're going to be talking about the definite article, the, all right? So the reason I put these questions up here is that it gives some good examples of when we use the and when we don't use any article, okay? So what you've done here actually is you've given some examples of some rules that we use to decide whether or not to use an article with a noun, okay? And this is what we're going to be talking about today, okay? So don't worry if you missed some of these answers. That wasn't really the point. Okay, so today we're going to continue with what we did last week. Okay, I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to go back in here. Last week when I was teaching Mark's class in the morning, we were talking about articles. All right, we were talking about when to use a or when to use the, right? The definite or indefinite articles. And I thought that we would continue with that because many people had questions last week that we didn't get to. And many people were putting comments on the video afterwards about wanting more information about articles, because it's one of those tricky things. Articles when to use the or no article, it seems like beginner English, right? It seems simple, but it really isn't. Christina's here. Hi, Christina. All right. It seems easy, but it isn't. As I said, it's something that even high-level students have trouble with. So I thought that we would continue with that. And Christian's got a question about what's the liver. Yeah, it's one of the it's an organ. Maybe somebody in the chat can explain the liver to you. So the focus of today's class is not so much on Okay, last week we talked about Today we're going to be talking about when to use the definite article, and when to use no article at all. Okay. The tricky thing about this is you've got so many rules to remember. So we're going to try to go through some of them to make sense of some of these rules. And then I'm going to get you guys to do some practice for me, okay? So let's start when to use the or no article. Let's start with what we may call unique things, okay? Unique things are people, meaning if there is only one of these people or things in the world, then we typically use the, okay? So for example, things like the earth, the sky, the queen, and the Great Wall of China. Some people are talking about how delicious liver is. Debatable, yeah, it's a divisive food, I would say. Okay, so here we've got things that there is only one earth, there's only one sky, one queen, well, of a particular country, you'd say. So we say the. Okay, so for example, beautiful picture here for you to check out. We say the moon is beautiful tonight, okay? Because again, here anyway, there is only one moon. On the earth, there is one moon, okay? All right, so yeah, we've got some more questions coming in. Some with those articles. Why did you choose some with those articles and not with many, any, and all? I'm not sure I understand Rose's question. If you can be a little bit more specific, Rosa, I'm not sure what you're referring to there. Okay, but keep the questions coming. Okay, so on the topic of there being only one, in a similar way, when we talk about superlative adjectives, right? When you put that est on the end of an adjective, like the biggest, longest, largest, fastest, then you're going to use the article there too. Okay? Examples like, she is the brightest student in our group. All right? You can debate who that is. I'm not gonna say that. Or it was the most significant event of the decade, right? You've got the most, the best, the brightest. This superlative adjective you want the with. Okay? And Steve is saying it's not easy to remember all of the rules, and that is absolutely true. It is hard to remember all the rules. Yeah, it's really a matter of using the rules, right? Applying the rules and making mistakes and learning from the mistakes and fixing them. I mean, I think it's when we're talking about articles too, guys. It's important for me to mention that most native English speakers, we don't really think about when to use an article or not. It's something that we kind of naturally learn. I don't remember being taught how to use articles appropriately as a young kid in school, right? So it is something that you acquire through looking at the language, hearing the language, reading the language, using the language. Okay. And Arud is saying when not to use before superlatives. I would say, as a general rule, always use an article before a superlative adjective. Okay? I mean, always there are going to be exceptions to a lot of rules, but in this case, I would say always put the before a superlative adjective. Okay? So that's for the first part, when there's only one, right? So as we said, the president or the earth. Okay? Some people are asking questions about countries. We're going to get to that. You guys are eager. It's good. You're excited. You're getting ahead of me here. That's fine, because this is what we're going to talk about now. Proper nouns. Okay. Now, proper nouns just means a noun with a name, right? We're talking about names, basically, places and things and people that have names. Okay. So what we're talking about here is the list of things that you use the article with or not. So let's start with names of mountain ranges. So I asked you before, what is the longest mountain range? And we said the Andes, right? Because with mountain ranges, with groups of mountains, you have to use the. For example, he lives near the Alps in Switzerland, right? The Alps is a mountain range, so you use the article, yeah? But, and this is the crazy part of it, is that names of individual mountains, one mountain, no article, okay? So if you're just talking about one mountain, you say Mount Fuji is in Japan, but not the Mount Fuji. So many mountains, one mountain, no article, okay? Just to illustrate that, you look at this sentence, Mount Everest is in the Himalayas, right? So you've got a single mountain in a group. All right, yeah, some people still talking about countries. We're coming to countries. This is good. So I think actually this is probably the next, almost. We'll get to countries in a minute. Names of oceans, seas, rivers, and I put gulfs and straits in there too, just in case, I don't know, if you live in Mexico, you might want to refer to the Gulf of Mexico. Straits, not as common a body of water, but I thought I would give a shout out to the straits, Don't want to forget about the straits. So oceans, rivers, and seas use the, okay? For example, the Pacific is the biggest ocean in the world, right? So with oceans, you say the. With rivers, the Amazon River runs through Guyana, Ecuador, Bolivia, Brazil, Colombia, Peru, and Venezuela. That's a very comprehensive list there. I hope I didn't forget anybody. But that is the Amazon River, all right? Christina's asking about a volcano. Yeah, the volcano is a mountain, so I would use no article typically with a volcano. If you think again, Mount Vesuvius was a volcano, but you don't use the with it. I would just use the name and not the article. Okay, and you're asking, now this is the tricky question, is why don't we use the before a mountain? There's really no good answer I can give you for that one, guys. It's really just, these are the rules. This is the rule of the language, and there's no good reason that I would have for saying don't use an article before a mountain, but that is the rule, unfortunately. Or fortunately, if you like rules, I don't know. Okay? So getting back to this, we said oceans, article, rivers, articles, okay? But lakes, unlike all the other bodies of water, names of lakes, you don't use an article, okay? So we just said the Amazon. Sergio grew up close to the Amazon River. You said Amazon liver there. I think you're still thinking about liver. You guys are getting hungry maybe. But here it says the Lake Superior. No, you don't say that. You just say Lake Superior is between Canada and the USA. There it is right there, this big guy here. That's Lake Superior. There you got Lake Michigan and Lake Huron, Lake Ontario, Lake Erie. Each one of them you would say with no article. So you're asking if this is a type of rote learning? Yeah, I guess you could say that. Rote learning is more about repetition. I mean, I think this is more about seeing the language. The more you read, the more you listen, the more you're exposed to the language, you'll understand more how to use articles, I would say. Okay, so Sergio, it is the river that you were talking about, not the liver. Okay, good to know. And again, if you guys have questions, if I'm going too fast, if you're missing some, pop them in the chat. That's why I'm here, right? I love the questions. All right, names of countries and continents. Most countries, all continents, take no article, okay? So, for example, this guy would say, I am not from the Mexico, I am from Mexico, yeah, or Mexico, if you prefer, okay? Lake Superior, that's right, cool. All right, so Europe as well. There are so many different languages in Europe, not the Europe. But of course, there are exceptions, okay? There are exceptions to the rule. Most of the exceptions are pretty easy to kind of remember, to keep in mind, because if you're looking for any of these words in the name of the country, right? If they've got United, Republic, Kingdom, or Union in there, then you'd use the article, right? Like the United States, okay? The People's Republic of China, right? So China's a really good example because you can call it China with no article or the People's Republic of China with the article, okay? Kingdom, again, a good example, Saudi Arabia, no article, but if you say the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, then you need that article. And then Union, I guess not as common anymore, is the Soviet Union, I guess, if you're referring to the past. Now, here's some more examples. And of course, the two at the top, there's really no good way to rationalize or to understand why, but the Netherlands and the Philippines we use an article with. Gudrea is saying the European Union. Hey, that's a good example. Not technically a country, but a union of countries. So that's good. Thank you for that. Great. Okay, so, and then as we said, we've got more here. The United Kingdom, the UAE, the Czech Republic, these kind of keywords that you take the article with, okay? Or you use the article with. Good. But of course, again, all of these little rules that are hard to remember, but the country, you say no article, right? Continents, no article, but geographic regions and areas will often take the article. Sergio's eating the best salad in the world. That sounds delicious. That sounds like a great salad, yeah? Okay, so regions, take the, like, he spent several years working in the Middle East, right? You want that article there because the Middle East is a geographic region of several countries, okay? And here are some other examples. The south of France, the Midwest, the Pacific Northwest. If you think Seattle, shout out to anybody in Spokane, Washington, the Pacific Northwest, okay? Now I should say too, I'm gonna get you guys to do some work in a minute, but this one's a little weird too. So the south of France. Let me actually pop out of here so I can write something here. Oops.
Exiting narrator.
There we go. All right, so you say he grew up in the south of France. Now in this case, because the south of France is a region, you're going to use the article there, okay? However, if you did this, and said he grew up in southern France, and good, Gudrea's kind of ahead of me, and this is important because if you're using southern or western, eastern, northern as the adjective of the area, then you don't use the article. And this is just one of those little things that's maybe irritating and frustrating, but it's important to keep in mind. Okay, so the south of, you need the article, but southern, northern, eastern, western, no article. Okay. Yeah, right. Yeah, good. You guys are good. You're ahead of me here. This is great. Okay, so how about a few more things, and then I'm going to get you guys to do some work for me because I want to make sure that we have lots of time for you guys to practice. Okay. Christina asked a question about the volcano. So I have been traveling. I enjoyed my visit to the blank volcano. Perhaps. I would have to see an example of that. Maybe. If you're referring to it as a mountain, I would say no article, though, Christina. Good question. I'll have to get back to you on that one. Okay. Another kind of short list of proper nouns. Okay, so use the with the names of hotels, newspapers, theaters, museums, galleries, and groups of islands. Okay, so if I say, for example, the Four Seasons. Okay, the Four Seasons is the name of a hotel, so you're going to use the article. How about a newspaper name? What's a famous newspaper? How about the New York Times? The New York Times. Okay. Ruji, I was born in the, what's that word there? The what? Leiden? What? Can you clarify what you mean by that one? Maybe I'll be able to. In London? No, with cities, don't use the article with cities. Okay. Typically, there's maybe one city in the world that takes an article, but most of the others do not. Like the Taj Mahal. If you're talking about the Taj Mahal, sure, because again, that's one. There's one of those in the world, kind of like the Great Wall of China or something like that. Theaters. What's a theater? The Vogue Theater. Okay, the Vogue Theater in Vancouver. Museums. The Hermitage Museum in St. Petersburg. It's a good one. And what's a group of islands? Say, how about the Canary Islands? Okay, so all of these different things you use an article with. And again, it is kind of a memorization thing. You have to remember these things. Okay. Now, one more thing before I get you guys to do some practice is I'll show you a list of things that you don't use the article with. So again, you guys were getting ahead of me there, but with cities and towns, no article. So what I was just saying there to Ruju was London. You say London, no article there. Okay. Provinces and states, no article, just Texas, for example. Okay. Streets as well, no article. That's why I asked you about Wall Street at the beginning of class. Sergio is asking about the capital T. Just use the capital T if it's at the beginning of the sentence, Sergio. Yeah, you don't have to capitalize the in a proper name. Stations. Grand Central Station, for example. Okay, as a train station. Yeah. Some bands use the, some don't. That's true. That's true. And parks. Well, we're going to keep a New York theme here. We could say, well, Central Park, right? Good. And the last one, individual islands. Now, this is the same as mountains. We said one mountain, no article. Many mountains together, you use the article. It's the same with islands. A group of islands together, you use the article, but one island, you don't use the article. So you would say Vancouver Island, for example. Okay? Ruji, yeah. So one thing that I would say for you, Ruji, before you go is I'm on my way to the airport. Abdu just fixed it for you. Yeah, right. Okay, thanks. And we'll talk about the airport in a bit. Okay, so this is just kind of the general rule of proper nouns. Okay, guys? I know it's a lot of information. Christina's asking about the Central Park. Now, I wouldn't say the, just Central Park. Yeah. I know this is a lot of rules, but let's see what we can do with it, okay? So let me put something in the chat here. Let me send a link to you. Oh yeah, okay. Well, I cannot put the link in there just yet. Maybe I can send that to Zach, and Zach can put the link in there for you guys to open up. Okay, I'm going to put my copy up on the screen here, and we'll get some practice going. Okay, we'll start kind of simple, and then I'm going to add some more rules to it. Okay, so Zach, I just sent you the link through our little chat. If you can, yeah, there you go. Zach's on it. Everybody, you guys can go into there, open that link, make a copy of that document if you can, or you can just look at this screen if you want to. Okay, you've got about 8 sentences there. Practice makes it better, right? Yeah, maybe, yeah, perfect even maybe. Practice makes perfect. So I want you guys to look at each sentence and decide, do you need an article or not? Okay, so the first one is Nile is the longest river in Egypt. So for each noun, each proper noun, you have to decide, do you want the or nothing? So for example, the first one, I would say the Nile is the longest river in Egypt. No article there, okay? Because you've got a river, so you need an article with that, and a country, no article, okay? So, question from Abdul Ahmad saying, are we going through an and after the? We actually did that last week, but you can check out the video in our playlist there, Abdul. Okay, it's there, and you can review it for sure. Okay, so for now, guys, go through it. I'm going to pop off. I'll put the happy monkey music on, and I want you guys to put your answers in the chat, and then we'll go over it together. Okay? All right, get to work. If you have questions, if you're stuck, if you're feeling sad or lost or alone, put your questions in the chat and we'll help you, okay? But for now, I'm going to pop off for about 2 minutes, okay? Get to work. All right, guys, good stuff. Lots of stuff coming in on the chat. Lots of good answers. Let's go over some of this stuff together here, guys. As one big happy family here on a Thursday morning. So we did A first. We did it together, and let's look at B here. Who's got an answer for B? Let me scroll up the chat and see what you have for me here. All right, Heavy says, I saw Bob yesterday at Incheon Airport. Yeah, I would say for this one, and actually I'll maybe come back over here. I would say I agree with Heavy there and say no article. And Incheon Airport, I would say no article for that one too. But now that I'm kind of thinking about it, airports could be a little bit tricky, right? Because oftentimes an airport will have a proper name, like John F. Kennedy Airport or something like that, or Heathrow in London, right? So you say Heathrow Airport, no article, but sometimes you will put the city name with the airport, and that's just kind of the name of the airport, right? If you say, for example, like say the Moncton Airport or something like that, right? So if you said the Incheon Airport, I don't think that would be a huge mistake, but I do agree that an article is not really necessary there, right? And just say Incheon Airport. Okay? Good. So let's look at C. So Gudrea, you're saying no articles throughout the whole thing. Now, definitely some of those nouns you don't need articles for, but I would put an article or two in there somewhere. Okay, so who's got one for C? Oh, Marianne. Oh, who better to ask about Paris and France than Marianne? All right, good to see you. So she says Paris, right? No article there. Paris is the capital city of France. No article. Good. And home to landmarks like. Did she get it? Yes, of course she did. Good. The Eiffel Tower, because there is one, right? The Eiffel Tower is this special thing. It's unique. And the Louvre. Don't criticize my pronunciation. All right. So the Louvre, meaning the museum, right? The museum of art, arguably the most famous museum of art in the world. So you need the, because we put the with the names of museums. All right. Good. What about D? Who's got one for D? Oh, Rose has got one. She said, we visited Mount Kilimanjaro in Tanzania last year. Yeah, so no articles here or here. All right? Because Tanzania is a country. Mount Kilimanjaro is a single individual mountain, so no articles necessary. Beautiful. Okay. What about E? Who's got one for E? Who haven't I asked yet? See lots of G's and H's. E. Okay. Ankit says the Yangtze. Yeah, because it's a river. The Yangtze River in China. No article. Good. Is the longest, because you got that superlative adjective, longest. Right? Is that what she, yeah, good. In, almost perfect. I would say in Asia. No article for that because Asia is a continent. No articles necessary with continents, right? Europe, Asia, Africa, North America, and so on. Okay, good. A couple more. My grandfather, who's got one for F? See somebody I haven't asked yet. Where's F? Who do I have here? It's hard for me to find someone new. Oh, Margaret. Margaret, all right. Margaret says the. Yeah, there you go. The Atlantic, because it's an ocean, so you need that article there. Good. I think I purposely took the words ocean out of there just to try to make it a little trickier, but you guys are way ahead of me here. So G, Ruji says the and no. So yeah, go with the Mediterranean because it is a sea. So with C's you use the article. So I swam in the Mediterranean when I visited southern Italy. I threw that in there to see if I could trick anybody. But I didn't trick Ruji. Okay, no article for southern Italy. Good stuff. All right, and how about the last one here? Who's got one for H? Go all the way down. H. All right, Christina. Anna is from, yeah, this is double the here. So the Netherlands and from the Dominican Republic. Two countries that would take the article. The Netherlands, maybe just because it's got that S on it, because it's plural, would be maybe a way of thinking your way through it. And then Dominican Republic, you've got that republic in there. And typically we use the article with that. All right, good stuff. So, yeah, Marianne's the Arc de Triomphe has to go on there too, of course. Okay, that's good. And Tara, yeah, you got it. The Netherlands and the Dominican Republic. Good. All right. All right, so let's go over some more rules, guys. Okay, that was just the beginning. There's so much more to talk about with articles. There's so many rules, but actually, let me pop up here. We already talked about this. There, let me go here because I know what's coming. Before we get into more rules, it's time to get into the mistake of the week. All right, the mistake of the week. I'm going to put a sentence up on the screen, and I want you guys to find the mistake. Okay? So can you spot the mistake in this sentence? I'm going to put it up. I'm going to pop off the screen for 10 seconds. I want to see who is the fastest student in the world. Who's the fastest, the smartest student on the internet today? All right. So here we go. Find the mistake. What's wrong with this sentence? I'm out of here. I'm going to put the music on. I'll be back in 10 seconds. All right. Good, 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 good. Now I tricked a few of you, which makes me happy. It puts a smile on my face to fool you. And I intentionally wrote this sentence to kind of try to trick some of you. Some of you are just you're on to my tricks. You know what I try to do with the mistake of the week. Because some of you, here, let me go red here. Some of you thought that kind of the mistake was this R here, right? Like Spanish is well known. Maybe there should actually, I should probably put a hyphen there, well known. But the problem is if you say Spanish is well known for, and then you've got this possessive adjective over here, their appreciation of food and music. So if you say Spanish is, what does Spanish mean? The singular word, Spanish is well known. If that's a noun, that would be a language, right? Spanish. Can you speak Spanish? Can you speak French, for example? English. Okay? But if I change that to is, it doesn't really help me out with this thing over here, right? So, and again, some of you, you kind of fixed it in two different ways, I would say. Marianne got it. I mean, she put Spanish people. She just put people here and said, Spanish people are well known for their appreciation of music. Actually, she said Spanish people are blah, 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 which is fine too. But the problem with this sentence is Spanish, right? Because you can't say Spanish are, right? But in the full sentence, you can't say Spanish is in this context because we're not talking about the language. We are talking about the people. So if you want to say Spanish people, like Marianne did, that's fine. But of course, there's always a reason for my questions, my mistake of the week. And again, some of you guys got it. Yeah, right. Yaprak, you got it. Zainab, you're ashamed of yourself. Don't be ashamed of yourself. No, it's fine. Yeah, that's a little harsh, I'd say. Zainab, you said the Spanish people. That's fine. No shame necessary. Okay, and Tara got it too. I think maybe second try, a couple people went back and fixed it. Now, Diego, you went kind of one step too far. You said the Spanish, but then you said is, right? So that's kind of the tricky part. Now, what I'm showing you here is, let me show you there. Okay. The Spanish are well known for their appreciation of food and music, okay? So what we're looking at here is another use of the article, right? And we often use the article in front of an adjective to create a general noun to talk about kind of a general topic. So in this case, the Spanish means Spanish people, okay? So like Marianne said, Spanish people are blah, blah, blah. You can also say the Spanish are blah, 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 okay? And that's just one more use of the article, and that's what I want to talk about now. So some special cases of when to use an article, okay? Making nouns from adjectives. So oftentimes you'll have adjectives like rich, young. I put Chinese here, right? Now again, important to remember, words like Spanish and Chinese, they can also be nouns, right? But if they are nouns, Spanish and Chinese are languages, okay? As an adjective is talking about a nationality, right? like a Chinese student, or this person is Chinese. So if we take these adjectives and we want to make a general noun, just put an article in front of them, like that. And if you say the rich, that means all rich people, okay? The rich. What did Robin Hood, right? Robin Hood, he stole from the rich and gave to the poor, right? I don't know if you guys are fans of Robin Hood or not, but I am, I guess. So the young people, the Chinese people as a whole, right? So the Chinese have thousands of years of history, for example, okay? So let me show you, let me go in here and I'll write an example. Ooh, that's large. How about if I say this? Let me go up here and say, politicians try to appeal to the young. I'll make that a little bit bigger. Especially when it's time for an election, right? It's time for you to vote. You say the young. Politicians try to appeal to the young. They want young people to get out and vote, because there are a lot of young people out there that don't vote. Okay, so Abdul Ahmad, you're asking, if you say the Chinese is not an adjective anymore. If you're using the article, like in this case, the young, now I have taken the adjective young, and if I put an article in front of it, it's not an adjective anymore, it's a noun. It's a general noun, right? That means young people, right? And it's the same with the Chinese. So the big difference between the Chinese and Chinese as nouns are, as we said, the Chinese are people, Chinese is a language, okay? Menelao 10 says, the time we need to talk with articles to refer nationalities. All the time. I'm not sure I understand the question exactly. If you can try to rephrase that question. I mean, also, it's important to keep in mind too that some nationalities you can pluralize and some you can't, right? I mean, you can say Canadians or Koreans, right? So you don't always need that article with it, but you can't pluralize Chinese, right? You can't say Chineses or Englishes. Stephen says, I am Chinese, I am a Chinese. The first one, you are not a Chinese. You are I'll even write that down, Steve, for you. He is a Chinese man, right? Because Chinese is an adjective. If it's a noun, it's a language, right? So he is a Chinese man. He speaks Chinese. Whoop. Like that, okay? But you cannot say, I am a Chinese. It doesn't work, okay? Good, these are good questions, guys. All right, so again, a general noun, taking an adjective, putting the in front of it, and then you've got a general noun that means all young people, all poor people, all strong people, the strong, for example. Okay? Good. All right, so how about, I'll show you one more thing, because I think it's almost time to go. This is too bad. I had so much more practice for you guys to do. We're going to have to continue this next time. All right, speaking in general. So again, I know that the general rule is when you use the, you're speaking specifically about something, right? If you say coffee versus the coffee. If I say, I like coffee, we're talking in general, right? If I say, I like the coffee, I'm talking about specific coffee, like this coffee, for example, okay? But of course, there are exceptions to that. And I'll show you one more thing before we run away for the week, okay? So certain things we can speak in general about using the article the, okay? Making general statements about inventions or technology, parts of the body, animals, and plants. Okay, remember my question at the very beginning of class was, what's the largest internal organ? And we said it is the liver, right? The liver. Now, because we're talking about the organ, but we're talking about it in general. We're not talking about one specific liver, right? But we still put that article there. So let me show you maybe a couple other examples of that we've already talked about today. Oops. I don't want that. No.
Exiting narrator.
Thank you. All right. I'm not used to this keyboard for some reason. Okay, so when we're making general statements like the human brain weighs about 1.4 kilograms, I think. Okay? Yeah, there's a lot of different article rules. I know, Tara, that's for sure. Coffee is delicious, the coffee is delicious. Both of those could be correct, Gudre, depending on the context, okay? So the human brain weighs about 1.4 kilograms, I think. I could be wrong. It's been a while since I last weighed a human brain, I guess. But maybe my scale was off, I'm not sure. But in this case, we're not talking about one human brain. Obviously, we're talking about all human brains, okay? Maybe a weird example. How about unicorns are my favorite animal, right? You say that when you're talking about something in general, right? We said you pluralize it, unicorns. But you could also say this, the unicorn. The unicorn is my favorite animal, okay? The unicorn. Now that's just talking about a random, I mean, it's a random example. Talking about, generally speaking, all unicorns. Okay? More questions coming in? Okay. Now I know that this is, as I said, a lot of rules, a lot of stuff. It's hard to keep track of everything. It's hard for me to keep track of everything here too. I'm sure some other questions coming in I'm a little unclear about. Cantonese is a language. Okay. That's true. I'm not sure if that was meant for me or if that's a discussion in the chat. All right. Anirudh is asking, can we use the to make an ordinary thing specific, or can we break the rules sometimes? Typically, the rule is, yeah, we use the to make something specific, as we said, like the coffee, the water, the electricity. But there are going to be, as we're looking at here, these are exceptions. Anirudh, yeah. Okay, so I wish we had more time to go over this because there's so much to talk about. Ruji says the cat is his favorite pet. That's cool. Yeah, that's a good choice. All right, so we are unfortunately out of time, but that means that we're going to have to continue talking about articles again. Chateau 7, are you just showing up now? I haven't seen you yet. It says this seems to be one of those things that a lot of review is vital. It seems to get better with frequent practice. I couldn't have said it better myself. Chateau 7. It's true, it's something that you have to constantly revisit. But as I said at the beginning of class, it's about how much exposure to the language you have. The more you read, the more you pay attention to when you're listening to the language, when you're reading the language, you will just naturally kind of start to pick it up. You'll see how we use these articles, and you'll understand it. All right, yeah, I know, that was fast. Time flies. I know. Yeah, so many more questions coming in. So how about this, guys? Again, if you have more questions about articles, feel free, please put them on the Facebook group here. Let me pop out of this for a minute. The fastest 60 minutes on the internet. That's right. That's right here every week. All right, so if you have more questions about articles, we're not done. Okay, we've got lots more to talk about with articles, but if you have more questions, put them on the Facebook group. Learn English on Facebook. Okay, join the group if you're not in the group, and keep asking questions. Okay. In the meantime, keep watching Mark's class Wednesday mornings. I'm going to stick with this new time slot for a while, I guess. We'll see how it goes. So from now on, it'll be Thursday, 9 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. That's 9 o'clock Vancouver time, okay, on Thursday mornings. And we're going to have lots of more classes are going to be added in mid-September, okay? I think September 19th, we're going to have more teachers, more classes. So in the meantime, up until the 19th, we are going to have more teachers coming on and teaching little short lessons for practice to get the hang of this whole crazy experiment we've got going on here. So lots of teachers are going to be coming on during my old time spot, I think, at 3 o'clock on Wednesday afternoons. Okay, but we'll keep you posted. We'll put all that stuff in the Facebook group as it unfolds. Okay, but until then, keep practicing, keep paying attention to the articles when you're reading, and keep watching our videos. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your neighbors, and that's it. All right. I guess it's always sad to say goodbye, but we've got next week to look forward to. All right. So see you guys next time, and enjoy your weekend, enjoy your week, and we'll see you later. All right.